Blood clotting, or coagulation, is the process where blood changes from a liquid to a gel, forming a clot to help stop bleeding. It's also called hemostasis, and the steps are vascular spasm, platelet plug formation, and the coagulation cascade. The teacher droned on, totally unaware that Violet's mind was miles away. Violet had always been a science geek. She thought it was fascinating. If there was one thing she was looking forward to at Lunaris, it was the advanced classes and awesome labs. Right now, they were studying how human and werewolf blood clotting works, but Violet had stopped taking notes on her smartphone a while ago, and it was all because of the werewolf sitting next to her. Alaric Storm was still asleep, and even though it shouldn't have bothered her, it did. Not just because he was missing the lecture, but because he was so ridiculously good-looking. Violet couldn't count how many times she'd start writing notes, then look over and find herself staring at his face, her heart suddenly pounding. And just like that, whatever the teacher was saying would go in one ear and out the other. Finally, Violet gave up. She'd just study later in her dorm. Her attention was totally focused on Alaric now. She found herself watching him sleep, which she knew was kind of creepy. The teacher hadn't even said anything to Alaric, even when she noticed him sleeping. Violet wondered if it was because he was a Cardinal Alpha, or if she was just used to him sleeping in class. Or maybe both. Why was he sleeping in class, though? Did he just not care because he was like the king of the school? Or was he up all night? Now that she was looking closer, she could almost swear she saw dark circles under his eyes. Was he not sleeping well? Trying to figure him out, Violet didn't realize how close she'd gotten. She was practically peering at him like a kid with a new toy, trying to figure out how it worked. People said Alaric was the quietest of the Cardinal Alphas, and Violet could see that. There was this innocent, peaceful vibe about him, and it was almost like she could feel it too, calming her down. Which was weird. A breeze from the window blew a piece of his curly hair over his face, and Violet's eyes locked onto it. Her hand was practically itching to move it. She must seriously have a thing for hair. Oh, whatever. Violet reached out to tuck the hair away, but before her fingers even touched his forehead, a hand shot out and grabbed hers. A little gasp escaped her lips. Alaric was awake. He was staring at her like she'd completely lost it. That's when Violet noticed he was wearing a glove. And as she stared back at him, shocked, she saw something that looked like a vein of lightning go through his head. Wait a second. Could it be? At the same time, his eyes flashed with ice-cold anger. I'd suggest you keep your hands to yourself from now on. Violet's face burned. She mumbled a quick, sorry, and stared straight ahead. For the rest of the class, she didn't hear a word the teacher said. It was obvious now that Alaric had problems controlling his powers. That must be why he kept to himself, so he wouldn't hurt anyone. And she'd practically tried to poke him. Violet knew she had a self-destructive streak, and this just proved it. Violet snapped back to attention when the teacher mentioned something about pairing up with your seat partner for an experiment. They were supposed to compare human and werewolf blood clotting times using mixed plasma samples. Great! She was on her own then. Soon enough, the samples were passed around, with pairs already working on their experiments. Violet sat by herself, Alaric Storm having turned away to continue sleeping. The key difference between werewolf and human blood clotting was that werewolf blood clotted faster. This helped them heal quickly from injuries, whether they were in human or wolf form. Ferrocene, the key ingredient in the experiment, was a rare mineral used in controlled settings to compare clotting rates across species. When exposed to ferrocene, werewolf blood clots almost twice as fast as human blood. Violet had to follow the textbook carefully since she hadn't been paying attention. Halfway through, just as Violet was about to add the ferrocene, Alaric grabbed her hand. Before she could react, he'd taken the vial, poured some out, and added it to the sample. "Why did you?" Violet started. But the icy glare he shot her made her shut up and focus on the experiment. Just then, the biology teacher, who'd been watching them, came over. She looked at their work, a proud expression on her face. "Great work as usual, Alaric Storm," she praised. "Wait, what?" Violet couldn't believe her ears. "Did he just take all the credit?" The teacher continued. "Precise measurements are critical. Too much ferrocene can mess up werewolf blood clotting, slowing it down instead of speeding it up. Good work, Alaric. You clearly knew that rule and must have guided your lab partner, didn't you? Alaric looked at Violet, and for the first time, she wondered why she'd ever thought he was innocent. He was a total wolf in sheep's clothing, he said with a fake smile. Of course, I did. Violet must be so grateful. Violet was too angry to even care that he knew her name. Good. The teacher clapped her hands, clearly pleased. It's great to know you have a lab partner you can tolerate. At that, Alaric turned to Violet, studying her with an unreadable expression. As soon as the teacher praised Alaric Storm's work, he abruptly stood, grabbed his stuff, and walked out. He didn't even glance back, explain himself, or apologize to Violet. She just watched him go, grinding her teeth, unable to follow him and make a scene. Class ended a few minutes later, but when Violet stepped out, Alaric was gone. So much for thinking he was different. She should have known better. Violet headed for the girls' locker room. PE was next. As expected, the locker room was totally luxurious, like something out of a fancy health club. Like every other room at Lunaris, it was huge. Rows of shiny wooden lockers lined the walls, each with a nameplate. The floor was polished tile, and the air smelled like lavender. A wall of full-length mirrors ran down one side, and private shower stalls, with frosted glass doors, lined the other. Thank goodness. Violet knew how brutal communal showers could be. The locker room buzzed with activity. Girls chatted by the mirrors, fixing their hair and makeup. Why wear makeup to gym class? Violet noticed some girls sitting on benches, changing into their gym clothes. A blonde girl with her back turned was talking to them, and Violet froze when she recognized the voice. It was Alice. Violet spun around and hurried to find her locker, ignoring the curious stares she got. Locker 109. She quickly spun the combination lock. Click. Inside, her gym uniform was neatly folded. She grabbed it, planning to change in a stall and hoping Alice would be gone by then. But the instant Violet turned around, "Hello, Violet." Alice was right in front of her. "Geez," Violet yelped, clutching her chest. "You scared me." "Why are you so jumpy?" Alice asked innocently. Usually people who act like that have done something wrong or are hiding something. "Maybe don't sneak up on people like that," Violet snapped. Alice immediately went quiet, her face falling. Feeling guilty, Violet apologized. "Sorry for yelling." "Forgiven!" Alice chirped instantly, her eyes shining with adoration. Violet frowned. The more she watched Alice, the more she suspected something was off. Now that changing in a stall was out of the question, Violet had no choice but to change right there. It was all girls, and she wasn't shy about her body. The gym uniform was a sleek black top with bright green stripes down the sides, kind of like zebra stripes. The school logo was on the left side of the chest. The matching black leggings had the same green stripes down the calves. The whole outfit came with cool sneakers. Violet was tall, taller than most girls, with a lean, athletic build. She was slim but toned, her muscles visible in her arms and legs. Back at Nancy's trailer, Violet had been a target for creepy stares from Nancy's customers. Luckily, she wasn't afraid to use a knife to get her point across. Those who thought they could take advantage of her learned their lesson real quick. Now changed. Violet shoved her school clothes into her locker and shut it. She glanced at Alice, who excitedly linked arms with her as always. Violet led her, taking a deep breath. Time to face whatever Lunaris Academy threw at her.
Hey, amazing viewers! It's Violet here. Thanks for sticking with us. By the time of the release of this video, only 9% of our viewers have joined the party by subscribing, and 91% of you might miss out on our next mind-blowing video. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and join the exclusive club.